by more than one person in the last week and a half. Something that was said at a Union Township meeting by a PCSA representative, and I'm trying to understand the factual basis or if it's not factual. But there were three comments that were made. The first one says that Union Township ratepayers are paying 26% of the Bower Hill sewer line extension, and Peters Township is not paying for anything. The exact quote was that you ratepayers are paying 26%, Peters Township is paying zero. The statement was made in reference to the Bower Hill sewer line extension the PCSA is constructing. Now, what I'm trying to understand is, do the Union Township ratepayers pay 26% for the Bower Hill sewer line extension? Go ahead, Mr. Lawson, I think you made the comment.
Chris, I made the comment. I said the ratepayers of Peters Creek have 26% of the money that's collected, the whole Peters Creek system. So any project that Peters Creek Sanitary does, the ratepayers are paying for that the grant doesn't subsidize.
Where's the
I never said that Union Township pays 26%.
Well, where's the 26% come from?
Well, that's our share down at CMA.
That's our share, that's how much, that's our debt service share, but in terms of projects, that 26% doesn't come into play. It's, any sewer line extension we do is funded by all ratepayers at the equal amount, right?
No, actually, I guess you are right there. We're paying them 26%, but yes, I should explain it further. 100% of that is all the ratepayers in Peters Creek. I was just trying to make an illustration between Bar Hill Road and the sewer line extension that's in the Orema.
Okay, I'm not sure what the, I think the distinction is that we're funding the Bower Hill extension. All ratepayers, whether you're a Union Township, Peters Township, Nottingham, or Finleyville, are paying for that, and the Finleyville and Rama extension is being funded by Union Township.
Yes, that would be correct. The Bar Hill, whatever grant you got, less the grants, yes.
Okay. Yeah, the second comment was that Union Township owns 26% of the revenue in PCSA's bank account. I don't think that's correct either. I think you're confusing the 26% of what we pay CMA for how much capacity we own, or the 26 at CMA and the 26% of the capital of the loan that we borrowed that we owe. But I don't think Union Township owns 26% of the revenue in PCSA's bank account.
No, is that what was said at the meeting? Did I say that?
Yeah, you said that, sir. I'm just trying to.
I don't remember saying 26% of the bank account. I don't remember that.
Okay.
No.
Okay. And
but the ratepayers own all of the money. You're right.
yeah. Okay. And then the last thing was it had to do with litigation, and I think the comment was that Union Township wants to install Finleyville or Rama Road sewer line extension and not ask for a dime, and they have to go through litigation to complete the project. And I think the fact of the matter is the reason why Peters Creek is going to litigation on this is because of some things that Union Township just, in their November 4th, 2021 letter basically said that there were three things that they wanted to go do that were sort of against our rules and regulations. And we wrote a letter actually to the DEP and to Union Township and Harshman and a bunch of other people, basically laying out our position that, we're proposing to own, operate, things that Union Township were doing were against our rules and regs. Like Union Township is proposing to own, operate, and maintain a low pressure system, proposing to do the bulk billing, and wanted to exclude PCSA from inspecting the same. So the comment I had from the public was that they may be a little bit misleading because Union Township, I think, shares, and yes, it's true we filed lawsuit against Union Township to regulations, but, it's not as simple as, you know, Uniontown, you know, I think that's really the issue, and it's not as simple as, Peters Creek is, you know, trying to hold up Union Township. We're just trying to get it done the way it was supposed to be done.
Well, I think the facts are misquoted. You know, years ago when we started this, I asked if Peters Creek would contribute financially, and the answer was no. I first asked, would you accept the sewage? That took a long time, but once the sewage, you guys would accept the sewage, I asked, would you help put it in financially though? I see nothing wrong with asking that. That's just, why not ask? When you said you wouldn't contribute any money, we have a design for grinder pumps that is approved. Back in, it's $500,000. We're ready to go. Our solicitor told us that we could bill for this to try to recapture some of our costs for putting it in, paying for the grinder pumps and that. Whether that was good advice or bad advice, that wasn't the board. That was the board taking the solicitor's advice. All we were trying to do was put sewers in, and if we were gonna buy the grinder pumps, we're gonna finance them up front, pay for them, we're gonna get, charge the people something to try to get some money back on it. Were we going to dump our sewage into your sewers without wanting to pay? That was never the case. We asked what the rate, the bulk rate, and if the bulk rate wasn't good, we wanted a rate. I don't know how this got to where it all is, and since we're talking about this, these pages and these facts aren't right. We were separated in that courtroom for mediation, which in my opinion was wrong.
Yeah.
If we can't sit and mediate all together, that's sad. But we were separated. And I was told, well, I should say that, the three of us were told upstairs, when Mr. Beerman came in, your case for removal is not to be discussed. So mediation started, back and forth. Mr. Beerman came up and said, the proposal is Peters Creek will contribute $250,000 towards this project if Lawson resigns. I spoke up and said, I thought we weren't talking about Lawson. We're not. The judge doesn't want to. I said, well, what's the 250? Is that contingent only if I resign? Beerman told us yes. That's only on contingent that I would resign right there. And 20 minutes prior to that, he would told us we were not to discuss it. There was a lot of talk about switching it to a plan called option 1 or option 2, going to a gravity and a pump system, putting a pump system in. We called Jamie on the phone. Jamie never had, back then, an approved 100% cost of a lift station because it was understood that was too much money. He ballparked it, and my memory says he told us it might go to 250. We talked there, and we said if we had to pay an extra 250 and put the lift station in, it's worth it. We were never told all these contingencies that's listed in these special minutes of meetings. Never were we told this. Our grinder pump system is ready to go. We can put this out to bid in weeks. I don't know where, I read in there where Mr. Bernard is saying it's gonna take a year to get it. It's ready to go now. We could have this in. The last meeting at Union Township, we paid one week $1,000 $1,000 of pumping up there on that holding tank. We can't wait 18 months and keep paying all this to get something approved, and we cannot afford the lift station. The following day, after we got out of there, and I got on the phone with Jamie, and we came up with some hard numbers, $1.1 million. And I said, well, who pays for it? He said, I called Kathy Gallagher. I said, Kathy, there's no way we can afford to pay $500,000 or $600,000 extra. She's telling me, and our solicitor's telling me, she says, wait till the transcript comes. We are to pursue option 1 or option 2. If this was a done deal with the courthouse, that would have been illegal. Well, both boards have to vote on it. It costs too much for Union Township to go for the lift station or lift pump and the 18 months. That could end up another $75,000, $80,000 in pumping. And that's why we chose, we're just gonna put the grinder pump system in.
Is that what Mr. Harshman finally had decided to do? He had owed us a plan and also an agreement of what was to be done with this road over a year ago. I myself, Mr. Rick Combe, and Mr. Contestable met with him, and that was the agreement we had then. And to date, we've seen nothing.
So let's, hold on, let me just ground rules. We're having a very decent discussion, it's okay to disagree. So let's keep all the tone and the emotion at bay.
Well, I don't know where the agreement is.
I
I'm
get
still
it.
waiting for
I'm
it.
not criticizing you, I'm just saying, let's just.
And it goes into all this litigation and mediation, and we could have had an agreement put together a long time ago.
Yeah, Rick, Mr. Lawson, I don't know how it got to where it is either, and, we've done, we've done our own estimating in terms of schedule and cost, and, got some ideas on that too, and, I think, we'll talk about that.
Chris, this is Phil. I'm gonna direct that, our board members not comment because this is still a matter for litigation.
Okay.
And, I don't think it's appropriate to comment on, what we can or cannot do. The only thing that I will say to Rick, so that the record is clear, I can guarantee you, Mr. Lawson, that at no time during that mediation did Peters Creek ever offer to pay $250,000 towards that project. So whoever reported that to you, whether it was Mr. Breland or whoever, is woefully mistaken. We went into that meeting and offered $75,000 because of the change in the status of the negotiations, and hinted that there was more that we would be willing to pay if it was a global settlement. But I guarantee you, and I've seen that in multiple correspondences and emails from folks, that we never offered to pay $250,000. So if somebody reported that to you, it's just not correct. It's not factually correct, and I just don't know where it's coming from. And I think that you're getting wrong information there. Now, that being said, we never got a chance to discuss paying anything because during the mediation, Ms. Gallagher refused to discuss your case. We tried to focus on a global settlement where we did contribute to a global settlement for the project, and your side, and I can tell you this is in the presence of Mr. Levy and my whole team, refused to discuss, and all we heard the entire afternoon was money is not an object, we don't want your money, we don't need your money. And so we never got to discuss contributing more than the offered $75,000 that we came into the meeting with. And I just want the record clear on that because I've seen that now at least in 3 emails passed around from your counsel and other folks, and I don't know where that number's coming from because it's not correct.
Mr. Veerland is the one that presented it to, there was 3 supervisors, myself, Heather Dare, and Chuck Trax. Presented that to us, I don't know if it was the first or second time that he came upstairs. Mr. Sweat was present and Miss Gallagher was present. And I don't want to repeat it, that's why I asked him, I said, I thought my case was not to be discussed, and he said it isn't. And then that was dropped, it was just talking about sewer, that I'm not making the 250 up.
I'm not saying you're making it up, but I'm really.
With the caveat that I had to, but there was a caveat that I had to resign, and we all said, let's just resolve the sewer line extension. So, what you're telling me from walking downstairs and upstairs, 3 of our professionals exaggerated or tried to present us something that you said that you didn't. This is what's wrong about going from downstairs to upstairs. We should all be together.
I don't disagree with you, Rick, and I'm not saying you made it up. I'm just telling you that we never offered any money because your attorneys, specifically Miss Gallagher, not Mr. Swift, told us repeatedly in the presence of my entire team and Mr. Freeman, which really amazes me, that they didn't want our money, they didn't need our money, and that money was no object for you to do auction 2. And so we never had an opportunity to discuss offering money towards the project because we said if we're gonna offer money, we want a global settlement, which would have required your resignation. That part was correctly told to you. And when they went and discussed that part of the case, we never offered a dime.
Well, I'm just telling you what the Union Township Board was presented, and in all fairness, we're calling our engineer and giving him probably 8 minutes to come up with what is the actual cost, how much more do you think it'll be? It's not fair to him, and I'm sure that's why Judge Lucas says, go back, do your due diligence, and both boards have to vote on it.
Yeah.
Okay, it's not that we're changing our mind, there's no money there.
Yeah, I think it's a good,
And to keep going back to the court, it's just accelerating these costs. We need to sit down, we gotta get these guys, this sewage off the road.
Right, again, I'm not gonna comment on it because we tried, but I just wanna correct that we never offered $250,000. We never were permitted to offer anything, and maybe it's because we took the position that if we're gonna offer money, we want a global settlement that also settles your case, and I just don't think it's appropriate for us to discuss that right now because it's in litigation, it's pending before the court right now.
Well, I agree, it's probably not, but it's even worse to assume that just the 3 board members are changing their minds. This isn't the information we were told. We were never told we were paying for new engineering and right away and that. We were willing to pay $250,000 more to get a lift station. That's all we were told and all we agreed to.
so a suggestion is maybe, Ms. Lawson, go back to your solicitor and say, hey, we heard from Peters Creek, and they said, hey, this $250,000 that was never said, and find out who's telling you the wrong information.
Well, again, Mr. Veerman is the one that told us in front of the Board of Supervisors, the 3 of us, and the 2 other attorneys. If somebody's making something up, I mean, you have professionals, you have to take their word value right there when you're in mediation.
Right, well, so it sounds like the weak link is with Mr. Vreeland.
I just don't understand it, and, it seems like that whole thing was for nothing. I mean, we're getting costs over $1 million, pushing $1.1 million in 18 months. And, I mean, we got a project that's ready to go, it's designed on paper with the grinders. And we're spending, I don't know what it was the last week or 2, sometimes over $1,000 a week with pumping.
Okay, well, I appreciate your candidness. I'd like to move on. Any other questions for the chairman?